Alright, what's up guys? How we doing? This is going to be a 32 pick, 1-round NFL mock draft, and the first thing I want to address before we start. This is not going to be the standard video moving forward. I did want to include just one face cam mock draft prior to the 2022 NFL draft. That's going to be today's video. And there's 32 picks to dive in, so let's go ahead and start. And as we know, Jacksonville has the number 1 pick. They are a bad football team. Things are looking up. I don't think they can get much worse for them than what they were in 2021. Please don't try and prove me wrong, Jacksonville. But a couple of months ago, I was for sure set in stone that tackle Evan Neal was going to be the number 1 overall pick. They franchise tagged Cam Robinson, and they signed guard Brandon Scherff in free agency, and all signs at this point point towards Aiden Hutchinson being the draft pick. I am genuinely shocked about the Travon Walker rumors because they don't have any reason to make up rumors. If they want to select them, they will. They have nobody to trade up in front of. So all of this Travon Walker stuff coming out of him moving way up the boards, not just for them, I don't buy, but it's definitely something to monitor and something that everyone will be looking into the next couple of weeks. But as of now, I cannot be convinced otherwise that Aiden Hutchinson will be the number 1 overall pick. He's like minus 280 on all the sports books, and I can't be convinced that he's not the number 1 pick. Now, Detroit is in an interesting position. I have mocked to them a couple of times. Malik Willis, I've mocked to them other players as well. Kyle Hamilton, I'm kind of glad that rumor died. To select Kyle Hamilton number 2 overall was something I was never a fan of. I mean, I understood the thought process a couple months ago, but, you know, like everything else, we've moved on, and that's no longer a thing, and I think Lions fans are grateful for that too. Unfortunately for Lions fans, because of Evan Neal not being the surefire number 1 pick, they will more than likely no longer get Aiden Hutchinson. And with Detroit, I don't think they're going to be that bad in 2022 as people make them out to be. Of course, they're not going to go to the Super Bowl in the second city of the Dan Campbell era or anything crazy like that, but I think they're going to win more games than you think. I think they're, instead of being the easy circle win team that everyone does, you know, with the same old Lions, I don't think they're going to be that team. And as you can see on the screen, you see what position that I have pulled up, and obviously he's not going to be there at pick 32, and you have a good situation to play him, let him develop behind Jared Goff for a year. He's going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to have TJ Hawkinson, DJ Chark, depending if they sign him long-term or if he plays in 2022, and that player that we have them taking today is quarterback Malik Willis. And I did a video yesterday, I'm recording this Wednesday afternoon, on the Houston Texans and players they could draft. And I think it's a little exaggerative to say their needs are every single position. I really like what they have going on offensively from an offensive lineman standpoint, and I don't think Davis Mills is all that bad. Now, a player, obviously I'm not going to take him number 3 overall. I love the possibility of them taking Breece Hall later in the draft, but if you watched yesterday's video, this player, to me, is one that makes a ton of sense. Laramie Tunsil could still get traded. Titus Howard, I would like to think they're going to offer him a long-term contract extension, but in the case that they eventually trade Laramie Tunsil to possibly a contender, look, the Texans, their needs are not every single position, but they need better football players. And I think Ike Ekwonu, I think he's better than Charles Cross. I don't understand why PFF has Ike at 6 and Charles at 5. I do think Ike is. I think it should be a minimum reversed if Ike's not a couple of spots higher than 6. But we are going to give them tackle Ike Ekwonu from North Carolina State. New York Jets fans, this, you guys know. I mean, you guys know what you need here. And if there's ever been a team that benefits from a prospect sliding down a board, it is the Jets and Kayvon Thibodeaux. Quite frankly, I would be shocked if Kayvon is selected in the top 3 because of everything that's happened over the past couple of months with his not love for football and all that general BS. Look, Robert Saleh is a terrific pass rushing coach. We saw what he could do in 2019 when he had DeForest Buckner, when he had Nick Bosa, when he had Eric Armstead, and everyone else on that defense. Now he has Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, and Kayvon Thibodeaux for the next couple of years. The New York Giants were also addressed in yesterday's video, and whether or not Daniel Jones is the long-term answer in 2022 is to be determined. I like to think Daniel Jones is better than what a lot of people give him credit for, and that's not to say he's a top 2 or 3 player in the NFC. But look, whether he is or is not the answer, they will have tackles solved for the foreseeable future, assuming both stay healthy, and that's obviously the vision. Whenever you take someone like this, you're not thinking like, man, he may get injured. Look, Evan Neal, Andrew Thomas, tackles of the future. Just make it happen and don't worry about this till 2030. Now, Carolina's up, and the selection of Malik Willis at number 2 overall it messes up their draft plans. Now, as I make this video, Ian Rappaport tweeted earlier this morning that Kenny Pickett was going to meet with the Carolina Panthers today. How much do you buy into that? Look, I don't know, but, well, obviously he is meeting with them, but the interest in terms of that, I would be pretty surprised if the Carolina Panthers don't take a quarterback at number 6. They only have one selection in the top 100, and that's what we have to remember here. The only thing that scares me about Kenny Pickett is I want you guys to look at this right here. Age. He's going to be 24 in July. So he's going to be 24 as a rookie, and Kenny's not the only player. Remember, COVID not only impacted everyone, myself, yourself, everyone, but it impacted a lot of collegiate prospects. And this is going to be one of the oldest draft classes we've ever seen because of guys redshirting and because of guys that didn't get that year in 2020. But look, Matt Rule is going to need something to happen. I don't think they're going to trade for Baker Mayfield, pay him $18 or $19 million, and then also pay Sam Darnold that $18 or $19 million for that final year on their deals from the 2018 draft class. And I would be pretty surprised at this point in time if Kenny Pickett is not the selection for the Carolina Panthers at 6 overall. And by the way, I do think that is with Malik Willis, even if he were on the board, because the Panthers need to win games now. Matt Rule's job is on the line. He's 10-23 as a head coach, and he's finished the last 2 years something like a combined, I want to say like 4-20. It's not good. They need wins now. Take the quarterback with the highest floor, and he's available at 6, and move on. Now that brings me to the number 7 overall selection, and Kyle Hamilton's not going to be the pick. But look, I don't understand why PFF I'm surprised that they have Sauce Gardner as corner 3. I think he is CB1. And Wink Martindale, their defensive coordinator, we know from his days in Baltimore, he loves corners. And I would be pretty surprised, given that they need a second corner, I'd be pretty surprised if they don't take Sauce Gardner if he's staring them right in the face at 7. I do want to say, it does make sense for them to look at some of the other edges available. Travon Walker, and I know he's down here a little bit. Jermaine Johnson, 26 that's a little steep for Jermaine's rankings. I don't know if my face is in the way, but I'll move it up so you guys can see. Jermaine at 26 is a little steep. However, I'd be shocked if Ahmad Gardner's not the pick. So we're going to go ahead and give them Sauce Gardner, corner, Cincinnati. The Atlanta Falcons are on the clock at number 8. And with the Houston Texans needing every position, I think the same could very much apply to the Atlanta Falcons. And whoever they determine the best player on the board is it Kyle Hamilton? Is it Travon Walker? Is it Jermaine Johnson? Whoever they determine, that's who the pick should be, period. And for today's video, I'm really inclined, I feel like I should give them Travon Walker. Kyle Hamilton also makes a lot of sense. I don't think Kyle is the second best player in the class. But look, Travon Walker, a player who we've seen mocked even as high as 1 to the Jags, falls to 8, stays in state. We're going to go ahead and give them to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Seattle Seahawks are up, and quarterback makes a ton of sense for them. They obviously just traded Russell Wilson, and I would be personally shocked if they have Drew Lock entering 2022 as their number 1 guy. I think that's a perfect recipe to piss off one of the few good players that you'd want to build around in DK Metcalf or have him be a part of your franchise for a while. And the best quarterback on the board, according to PFF, is Sam Howell. Then Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral. Personally, I'm a big Carson Strong guy, but I'm not a number 9 overall Carson Strong guy. So I don't think Seattle is going to force a quarterback right there. In fact, I sincerely hope they don't. Look, they need an edge. They need edge help. You get a guy opposite Darrell Taylor, and who's that? A very high floor player in Jermaine Johnson. Again, 26th overall for him, I think, is a little, not the opposite of steep, but a little shallow in terms of how he is as a football player. So Jermaine Johnson to the Seattle Seahawks. And the New York Jets are back on the clock at number 10. You've done a lot of good so far. I made a video on how they're doing everything right. I love what they're doing. And the Jets need to help out Zach Wilson a little more. You give him CJ Uzomah. You give him Tyler Conklin. Elijah Moore, great slot receiver. Michael Carter, good young running back, probably going to add to it in this draft. What do you need help with, though? You need help at the receiver position. Corey Davis is who he is at this point. He's never going to be this 1,400-yard veteran, but he can be a solid number 2. So who do we determine here? Is it Drake London? Is it Garrett Wilson? Side note, I think that these two are in tier 1, and then everyone else falls beneath them. But I like Drake London to pair with Zach Wilson, to give him that guy to go up and get it. Zach Wilson, just drop back, throw it up, let's make it happen. That's who I like for them at number 10 overall. The Washington Commanders are on the board, and when you trade for Carson Wentz, to me that speaks, look, let's give him every possible route to succeed. And I say this a lot, but look, if Carson doesn't succeed, or if a team with another quarterback that doesn't succeed, you have good football players in place for the next guy. And to me, the best receiver on the board is Garrett Wilson. And without meaning to, we're going to have an all-Ohio State receiving core of Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Curtis Samuel, and Carson Wentz. If you fail here, then you're a veteran quarterback, or you're a journeyman quarterback back up the rest of your career. Garrett Wilson, Ohio State. And the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. Their top 2 corners are Patrick Peterson, a 11-year vet Patrick Peterson, and 3rd-year player Cameron Dantzler. Behind them, it's Harrison Hand and Chris Boyd. This is a pretty easy selection. Derek Stingley, the 3rd best player in the class, he could be if he comes back to the 2019 Derek Stingley, but you're betting on no injuries here, and this pick is a slam dunk for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Houston this offseason lost safety Justin Reed, and this player wouldn't play the same role Justin Reed had. That's important to remember when making this pick because it is the same position, but as we know, receivers, safeties, they don't play alike. Mike Evans is not Tyreek Hill. You get where I'm going. So we're taking the best player on the board, and that is Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame. The Baltimore Ravens are up, and they recently signed Calais Campbell, and I'd love to give them, where is he? I would absolutely love to give them, I probably passed him already, but I would love to give them Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is one of my favorite players in the entire draft class. He would be so fun on the Ravens defense working behind Brandon Williams for a year, and he's not that old compared to his teammate Devontae Wyatt, who, whether you guys know this or not, is 24. However, I think this is an ultimate Ravens pick here. They lost Tavon Young in free agency. Who are you going to replace him with? Trent McDuffie, corner, Washington. The Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock, and there's a couple of players that I have in my head that I would love to give them move on. We'll see if one will still be there at 18 overall. But look, you put a guy next to Fletcher Cox. Let's go ahead and do it. Nope. Big boy Jordan Davis next to Fletcher Cox. Pretty much good luck trying to run on those guys. You have a division that loves to run the football with the Giants, with the Commanders. Yes, I slipped up. I'm going to keep that in there. And the Dallas Cowboys. I'm so used to saying football team. But we're going to go ahead and give them Jordan Davis, the big boy. I'd love to have Devontae Wyatt be the next Fletcher Cox. But, as we know, 24 years old, not something I'm comfortable doing. I think he will be a good football player, but when it would time to come to pay him in a couple years, he'd be 28 going on 29, entering that second contract. Then you go for that 4-year deal, and then boom, he's 32 years old at the end of that contract. Let's go ahead and give Jordan Davis. He's a good football player, he's a safe football player, and he's going to make life hell for other teams in the NFC East. Now, the New Orleans Saints, from the original Philadelphia selection and then from the original Indianapolis selection, if you want to go that far into that, from the Carson Wentz trade. Look, they have 16 and 19. Everyone initially thought, and I'm a part of everyone, that they would come up with one of these picks to potentially trade up in front of the Carolina Panthers here at 6, maybe with the Giants at 5, package both. However, after thinking about it, after the kind of initial shock wore off, I thought, maybe they might come up to get one of the big 3 tackles. However, it's looking more and more by the day they may not have to trade up at all. And that tackle we're going to give them in today's mock is Charles Cross to replace the void that Teron Armstead left after he signed with the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Los Angeles Chargers are up, and to me, there's two players here that you look at. Keenan Allen is quietly entering his 10th year in the league, so I'd love to give Justin Herbert another weapon in a Jameson Williams, or the other player that I think they may go after is Trevor Penning. And of course, PFF has Bernard Raymond, number 13 overall, so that would be their 4th tackle on the board. It depends which one you would prefer. I do think when push comes to shove for the actual NFL draft, I do think Penning will go before Raymond. And that's actually who I'm going to mock to the Chargers today, is Trevor Penning, tackle, Northern Iowa. Philadelphia is back on the clock, and there's a couple of players that I could see them going with here. This is a good position for them to be in. Love the possibility of George Karlaftis going there. Love Devin Lloyd going there. And I love Jameson Williams going there. We gave them Jordan Davis at 15, double dipping on the defensive line and really creating a havoc for your not only division opponents, but for everyone for the next, however long. I love that possibility. However, Jalen Hurts needs more help than just Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. So we're going to go ahead and give him Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama. The dream fit for Philadelphia, I would love to be able to give them Drake London, but I'd be very surprised if he falls to pick 19. For the New Orleans Saints, though, they're on the clock. Look, they have Michael Thomas coming off of really an injury-riddled 2 years. He missed all of 2021. You see that positional need right there. Everyone knows the New Orleans Saints need a wide receiver. Who's the best one on the board? You could certainly argue it's Treylon Burks. I don't think Treylon Burks and Michael Thomas would necessarily be the best, but I do like together, that is. But I do like Chris Olave paired with Michael Thomas, and that's who we're going to give the Saints in today's video. Now, the Steelers are up. This is a very tough decision. They've been mocked Malik Willis a lot. He's not on the board. The Kenny Pickett-Pittsburgh connection, I don't think is as strong to Pittsburgh as Malik Willis. I think that's more of fans wanting it. And then, of course, there's Pittsburgh fans that don't like Kenny Pickett and everything and that he's overrated, whatever. But is Mitch Trubisky the long-term answer? I don't think he is. He's maybe a bridge quarterback at most. So now do you go with Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, or Matt Corral? And in today's mock, we're going to give them Matt Corral, quarterback, Ole Miss. Now, the New England Patriots are up. And with the board playing out this way, I've been giving them corners like whether it's a Kaiir Elam or Andrew Booth. I wonder how far they are ranked down on PFF's board. But, so 27 and 29. However, I'm pretty surprised that the board played out this way. It's different every mock. And look, we're going to go ahead and give them the best player available. They traded Chase Winovich to the Browns because he didn't work out. He was a 3rd-round pick a couple years ago. You're never going to have a coach, especially Bill Belichick, of all coaches, say, we're good with the pass rushers. George Karlaftis, Purdue, is their selection. Now, Green Bay, I really think this is a very easy pick. They're going to sprint to the podium if this happens. Treylon Burks used to be mocked all the way to the 8 to 9, 10 area, not necessarily with Seattle, but the Atlanta, the Jets area, the Washington Commanders area. Green Bay needs receivers. We know that. They're not going to go into this year with who they have. Also, I do want it to be known that in this area, the receiver alley, if you will, between really starting at 8 with Atlanta, but more so 10 with the Jets to the 22 area, this is where the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be looking to come up to get a player. However, in a no-trade mock, we're going to give them Treylon Burks from Arkansas. And I think Green Bay would walk out of the first round absolutely thrilled with that. Now, Arizona's up. And this is another team that I think it's just, you give them a good football player. Zion Johnson makes a ton of sense. And there's always debate between him and Kenyon Green. There's no debate here. Zion Johnson, guard, Boston College, is going to be the pick. Dallas is up, and I love giving them a guard. That's what I've done in a lot of mocks, whether it is Zion Johnson, whether it is Kenyon Green, whichever doesn't make it. Team needs offensive line. That fits. Devontae Wyatt would be interesting for Dallas. So with Nakobe Dean, Leighton Vander Esch is back on a one-year deal. They obviously cut ties with Jalen Smith a little while ago. However, I'm going to do the rare back-to-back guards. Kenyon Green will not be there by the time, this is only a one-round mock, but he would not be there by the time they're up on the board next. And there's been a lot of discussion regarding Tyler Linderbaum, and he supposedly won't play at guard. So I'd be surprised if Jerry Jones called Tyler Linderbaum and said, like, look, dude, like, we want you to play guard for us. But whatever, supposedly he's not playing guard. But we're going to give them Kenyon Green, guard, Texas A&M. I do want it to be known, though, that if there's any chance he does play guard, that Tyler Linderbaum is clearly a better interior offensive lineman than both Zion and Kenyon Green. And that's no disrespect to either of those guys as much as it is respect to Tyler's game. Now, the Buffalo Bills are up, and this is a pick that I've warmed up to over the past couple weeks. Look, Buffalo's building the new stadium. Josh Allen runs the ball a lot. Maybe they don't publicly say it, but I am a firm believer. Behind closed doors, they are trying to do anything possible to take the ball out of Josh Allen's running within reason. Not to have him be the next Tom Brady and run the ball maybe once or twice a season, not including kneel downs. But look, they need better play from the running back position. Also, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I think this is a cold take by PFF to have Kenneth Walker above Breece Hall. And I think Breece, in terms of talent, is a top 35 player in this class, not 58th. So we're going to go ahead and give them Breece Hall, running back, Iowa State. And to Bills Mafia, if they would be pissed about the selection, I'd say just give the kid a year or two, and you'd see why. He's a hell of a football player. Now, as for the Tennessee Titans, they are on the clock. I love mocking them Trevor Penning. I love doing that if he falls that far in a mock. Mike Vrabel, he has that nasty attitude, and Trevor Penning's game and everything that surrounds him coincides with that. But Bernard Raymond, while I don't think he is the 13th best player, it's good value here. It is good value, not 13 at 26, but it's, in the early 20s to mid 20s value at 26, and I think the Tennessee Titans would go with Bernard Raymond. And honestly, now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock, this is one of the toughest selections in the entire first round, because where do you go? Tom Brady, who knows how long he's going to play? I also don't think they would go quarterback, but who knows how long he's going to play? You could even honestly argue Breece Hall to the Bucs in case, Leonard Fournette, they don't want to extend him long term, and then they have Breece Hall for the next 3 to 4 years. But Breece isn't there. There's countless directions they can go, and I've mocked Tyler Linderbaum to them before, but they re-signed Ryan Jensen. They have the whole gang's coming back together. It's a tough decision for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, in today's mock, it's going to be surprising here to some people, but we're going to give them, because they have the chance to. They have the chance to play the long game with them, let them come back at full health, and you have that when Tom Brady's your quarterback and when you're at the top. We're going to give them David Ojabo, edge Michigan. I fully realize that that's not the biggest need that the Bucs have. I 100% get that. But you know what the Bucs do? They're about to do what the New England Patriots used to do, and that is draft good football players. Draft good players, figure out the positions later, figure out the personnel later, and that's who we're going with in today's video. Green Bay is now on the clock, and they had a rough offseason. They lost a lot of players, including edge Zadarius Smith, signed with the rival Minnesota Vikings. And although this player was never a Viking, and there's more to it than just, getting back at him, it makes a lot of sense to have edge Boye Mafe go to the Green Bay Packers here in the late first round. I love Boye's game. Was considering doing a whole video solely on his game. We'll still probably put out something on Boye before the draft starts, but that's who they're going to have in today's video. Now, for Kansas City, they need help on the defensive side of the football, and I realize that they also need another receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster will not carry that receiving core along with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. However, I am also a believer that Patrick Mahomes can make some of these players that they could get later, maybe like a Christian Watson in the second round. I do think Patrick, and this isn't surprising, great quarterbacks do this, make receivers play better than what they are. Not to say Tyreek did that, because he's special. He's, no one else has that type of speed, agility, acceleration. He's a one of one. But look, Kansas City needs help on the defensive side of the football. Yes, they just signed Justin Reed, and we could very well address the safety position here in a pick, but Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean are staring them right in the face. And they're going to have their choice. And personally, I would go with the player that is faster, and I love Nakobe Dean on tape. Sideline to sideline player, and in a conference where you're going to have to defend everyone for a while. Just take Nakobe Dean. He's a great football player. I wouldn't be opposed to Devin Lloyd. Please know this isn't like Devin Lloyd sucks, Nakobe's so much better. I'd be fine even with Devin Lloyd here. But for today's mock, we're going to give them Nakobe Dean at this specific spot. Now, Kansas City back on the clock. Chris Jones, he's a 6-7 year vet. You're going to have to replace him at some point. That's not necessarily right now. Again, I think you can get receivers in the second round where the impact wouldn't be the difference between a Justin Jefferson and Jalen Reagor. There's not going to be that much of a drop-off between getting Sky Moore at 30 or Jahan Dotson at 30 versus getting an Alec Pierce from Cincinnati at 54 or wherever it is they pick in the second round. So, having said that, who's not going to be there in the second round? A player that can come in and immediately contribute, and that is Georgia defensive lineman after a slide, Devontae Wyatt. Cincinnati, after being a pretty bad franchise for several years, aside from the Andy Dalton era, at the peak of the Andy Dalton era, they nearly got Joe Burrow killed last year. Credit to them for building that offensive line back up. But look, you have the best center prospect in 5 years staring at you in the face. They could also go, I wouldn't be opposed to them taking a defensive player, but I think in today's video, you have Tyler Linderbaum staring right at you. Make the easy pick, draft a potential Pro Bowl player, protect Joe Burrow, make Joe even happier than what he is, and just watch him throw to Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, and T next year. Now, oh boy, I'm going to keep that in. Detroit is back on the clock. They need good football players. They signed Jared Davis, and like I said, I said this a couple minutes ago, I would love for them to have the receivers, get Malik Willis a receiver, but Devin Lloyd staring him right in the face. It's going to be surprising because Andrew Booth, Lewis Seen, Kyer Elam, all these guys are going to fall out of the first round. But when you have Devin Lloyd staring you right in the face, don't mess it up. Just go ahead and take Devin Lloyd. At 32 to walk out with Malik Willis and Devin Lloyd, it's a hell of a first round for the Detroit Lions. Now, anyways, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This, again, is not going to be the stereotypical video moving forward. I want that to be known, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So, until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.